Welcome, everybody. We are here tonight for the Tompkins County Legislature public hearing concerning the 2025 Tompkins County tentative budget and the 2025-2029 capital program. So I'm going to go ahead and open that public hearing. And if you wish to speak tonight, please go ahead and fill out one of these blue forms that's located in the back of the room and just bring it right up and we'll get you in the line to speak. If you are going to speak tonight, sign one of these blue forms if you're agreeing to some rules, and I was going to go ahead and read those rules to everybody. I agree to a 3-minute time limit. I agree not to raise my voice. I agree not to use lewd, obscene, profane, slanderous, or libelous language, or speak or act in a manner that would tend to incite a breach of the peace. I agree not to speak about county personnel matters. Personnel matters include comments about the job performance of named county employees other than elected officials. After 3 minutes, I agree to leave the microphone and yield the floor. Transferring time to another person is not permitted. I agree to be courteous and not make comments, gestures, outbursts, or other disruptions while other members of the public or legislators are speaking. I agree that if I cause a disruption and I am asked to leave, I will leave the chambers. We have a number of legislators in the chambers. We have one on Zoom and another that may be joining us later. And we also have members of the public that are here in person and on Zoom to speak. So I'm going to start with the two that we know of that are on Zoom. So let us start with Susan Weiser. Hi, Susan, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes. You're on.
Great, thank you. My name is Susan Weiser. I'm the co-founder and director of Cayuga Dog Rescue, which is a nonprofit dog rescue that's been based in Ithaca since 2005. When the current SPCA director started his tenure at Tompkins County SPCA, I called to introduce myself, tell him about our rescue, and offer our help. I explained that we were a foster home-based rescue with good donor and good dog training support, and thus we could take in dogs with significant medical and emotional issues. I invited the director to contact me anytime that the SPCA couldn't meet a dog's medical or emotional needs. He promised that he would. He was very friendly, very affable. In the ensuing 13 or more years, the current director never called me once. I did, however, call the director one more time after that initial introductory call. I called him to talk about a dog who had just been surrendered to Tompkins County SPCA. The backstory was that a colleague of mine who ran a local kennel had called me in great distress. A very friendly, loving dog that he knew very well, since the dog had boarded at his kennel many, many times over the years, had just been taken to Tompkins County SPCA because the dog's owner had become too ill to continue to provide care for him. My colleague had been told by an SPCA volunteer there at the time that the dog might be euthanized because he was old and had arthritis. I called the current director immediately, identified the dog, and told him that if the dog was to be euthanized or if the SPCA couldn't meet the dog's needs in any way, our rescue would be extremely happy to take the dog immediately. The director again was very friendly, very affable. He assured me that the dog was in absolutely no danger and there was no need for our rescue to help. I double and triple checked with him on that phone call because I had heard countless stories of him euthanizing dogs that had mild medical or behavioral issues or who were of a breed that he did not prefer. He, however, very nicely reassured me that the dog was absolutely fine with them and did not need help. I learned 2 days later that the director had euthanized the dog, or had the dog euthanized, the day after he and I spoke. It was heartbreaking, tragic, and senseless. I told this story to one of the board members during the board's investigation. She acted very concerned and asked me if I would repeat the story to the rest of the board members, and I said that I would very much like to do so. She promised to get back to me and never did. It was very sad to hear that the board's investigation found the allegations against the director to be meritless. I know from personal experience that they are not meritless. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up on Zoom is Matthew Phillips.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Matt Phillips, homeowner in town of Dryden and employee at Whole Health. First, my opinions are my own and not a reflection of CSCA. I'm here to advocate for the use of the fund balance to cover the remaining $500-ish thousand you want to pay that are for services instead of adding more to our property taxes. Our reasons for this, the fund balance seems to increase every year without much change in it, going down at least. And our property taxes continue to go up. Some have said, obviously, that assessments are not taxes, but our assessments keep going up, property taxes keep going up. So my question is, why should you take from our savings account to pay for services when the county savings account continues to grow? Additionally, you guys are budgeting 5% for our vacancy rate for staff. Currently, our vacancy rate is 10%. So that alone right there is another $2 to $3 million that you're over budgeting in that line. That would help cover that $500,000. Speaking of staff retention, since you guys aren't funding another staff climate survey yet again, even with a new administrator coming in, I'd like to give you some feedback coming from one employee, not all employees. Our current white collar contract over the next 4 years gives us an increase of 14%, while we just saw our neighbors at Cornell and Board Warner getting 21% for the next 4 years. Next year, we're getting a 3% raise, while our health insurance costs go up 14%. In 2017, the county opted out of paid family leave. Personal experience, this year I had a child in August, and I was lucky enough to conserve all of my PTO to get a good 2 weeks off to stay home with my newborn and recovering wife. But not having paid family leave to cover any of that time has left me vulnerable to burnout and negative morale for the rest of the year, since I don't have any other time to use. So in closing, in a county whose mission is to provide an equitable environment for all, how do we overlook this major need for our employees, who often spend more hours at work than they do at home? So I hope your actions will speak louder than your words in expressing your appreciation to county employees. Thank you.
Next up in chambers is Shelby.
Good evening. Are we ready with the timer?
The timer's good, but if you could lean into the microphone a little bit.
Is this close to you? Is it on?
It does not seem like it's on. Can you hang on just a moment? That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No?
Yeah. If you don't mind trying the other one, please. Thank you.
That
Sounds like it's working.
Alrighty. Good evening. This is my 10th year as an Ithaca community member, my 5th year as a Tompkins County Public Library card holder, and the end of my 1st year as an employee there. Through generous funding, Tompkins County currently supports the employment of over 40 community members at the Ithaca Library, a group of intellectual, specialized professionals who I am privileged to call peers. With the current recommended county allocation, the library's front-facing workforce is projected to be cut by 5 to 7 positions, putting specialized professional staff in particular at risk. Staff are frustrated and concerned about the effects this will have on our library. I am equally concerned for the livelihood of my coworkers as I am for the quality of service left available for patrons if the county does not provide funding to maintain operating costs, including professional staff wages. On a daily basis, county funding supports clerks like me who check in and out hundreds of items, maintain dozens of patron accounts, send and receive materials with other libraries in our Finger Lakes system and outside of it, and more tasks. County funding also supports librarians who daily order and reorder materials across subjects and mediums, plan and host programs for patrons of all ages, provide specialized reader's advisory on parenting, carpentry, engaging biographies, mystery novels with not too hard to guess endings, and more tasks. Our community asks all library staff questions about books and movies, library of things items like sewing machines, and State Park Empire passes, directions to our several reservable or open meeting spaces. If they have to pay to get a library card, they don't. If they will be charged late fees for TCPL materials, they won't. If they can simply use the public restroom, they can. Where to get breakfast on a Tuesday within walking distance, when the next Route 30 TCAT comes to the bus stop just outside. Our community trusts our assistants with Wi-Fi, computers, and printing as they seek new employment, prepare their taxes, go through divorces. Our patrons create technical projects in our makerspace, including during programs run by our professional staff. A robust roster of our patrons are served via mail and other accommodations facilitated by my department in circulation. Our local library is a warming center in winter and cooling center in summer. As a recent recipient of a state opioid harm reduction grant, the library now has more resources for community members who use substances or love someone who does. Every day at Tompkins County Public Library, staff with diverse special knowledge provide a breadth of services that upholds our thriving local communities. If the current projected budget stands, remaining staff at TCPL, including myself, will have limited ability to provide the level of service which our community expects. I urge the legislature to utilize extraordinary measures, including the fund balance, to preserve current staffing and the specialized service our community deserves from our library. Thank you.
Next up is Kelly Doolittle.
I don't think the mics are working. I don't think the microphone's working.
So we got a thumbs up from the control booth that it's going out over the streaming, but I'm not sure why we're not hearing it in chambers. That's okay. We can hear it. All right, right?
We can hear.
Thank you. You're on, Kelly. Thank you.
All set?
Yes, thanks.
Hi, everybody. This is my second comment delivered with respect to the current budget cuts facing the Tompkins County Public Library.
Yeah, why don't you sit?
Sorry, what?
Have a seat.
Yeah, have a seat at the head of the table and use the microphone. Okay. Keep it about 6 inches from.
Is that better?
Much.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'll just start over. This is my second comment delivered with respect to the current budget cuts facing the Tompkins County Public Library, an institution I've been able to serve for over 23 years. I want to reiterate the outstanding values public libraries have to all people, no matter your race, religion, gender identity. Sorry?
Little technical problem, sorry.
Should I keep going?
One moment.
Hang on 1 second. We'll restart your time.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Kelly. A lot of technical difficulties for you. You're welcome to start again or pick up wherever you left off, whatever you'd like.
Okay, I'll pick up where I left off. I want to reiterate the outstanding values public libraries have to all people, no matter your race, religion, gender identity, age, or physical or mental health status. But along with that, I want to explain the importance of caring professional staff in making our organization the vital institution it has been for decades. Over the 2 decades I've been working here, we've had several fine directors, but no matter who is at the helm at TCPL, I can tell you it's the frontline staff that hear from and serve our public every day that truly makes the library the place of welcome and aid that patrons have come to respect and love. It's the frontline staff who create award-winning programming for our youngest patrons and their families, engaging programming that utilizes the best early literacy concepts to help set up children for success as they navigate and grow in their lives. This is TCPL's foundation. The first floor is where we tend to those growing lives with programming and spaces that engage, educate, and offer kids and teens a fun, accepting, and safe place to be themselves, and maybe even find new friends and new interests. The second floor of this home helps to guide folks through their adult years as they search for jobs, inspiration, partnerships, and begin to take flight. The roof of this venerable house is the service to our seniors, immigrants, library by mail service, library of things, and many other innovative programs, too many to list here without taking up too much time. Finally, I see our open door as outreach programming, so important for reaching all those folks from 0 to 100 years old that can't necessarily access our physical building and which cannot function well without ample funding and professional and caring staff. My service to our communities, both local and from all around the world, has been the joy and privilege of my varied working life, and I'm so glad I landed here at TCPL. I'm asking you to consider the lifelong value that Tompkins County Public Library staff have striven to offer to these communities and help us, old and new, to keep that service alive and growing with proper funding. Thank you.
Catherine. It also says Effie, maybe? Yeah.
Hello. Hi, I'm Effie. I'm an employee at Tompkins County Public Library as well, and my colleagues have spoken very eloquently about the wonders of the library and how important we are to the community. As you know, we're facing a possibility of a loss of 5 to 7 positions. And I guess I just wanted to put a human face to the situation, because I know you're working with the budgets, you're working with a lot of numbers, and I wanted to just remind you, which I'm sure you may not need, but that these cuts represent people who will not be able to pay their mortgages or feed their families or pay for medical care if they are losing their jobs. And I recognize that there have been a lot of questions that needed to be clarified in a recent budget, with the budget presentation that was recently done. And it was stated in that meeting that in order to get the level of funding that we needed, we would have to raise taxes 0.25%, I believe is what you said. So I just did a little math, and maybe I'm not a great mathematician, but if you had a property tax of $12,600 raised by 0.25%, that would be $31.50. So I guess I feel that that's a small price to pay for 5 to 7 positions of employees that would be able to feed their families and do what we need to do in the world. And also, I just want to say that we're really working our hearts out at the library to try to restore the library to the amount of materials that were there before. And it takes manpower to do that work, and we are very dedicated to doing it. We love working at the library, and speaking for myself, I do love working at the library. I've been there for 8 years, and I'm grateful that you've given me a chance to speak. Thank you.
Next up is Joseph Holgren.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Joseph Holgren, and I second that about the library. And if I can read my own writing here, please keep the library fully funded to support staff wages. Library staff is vital to library function, and it's a civil servant job, and it's vital to national interest as well. But my speaking here was about the school budget. It may not have anything to do with this, but I felt I needed to say it because there was we've reduced it. I think it was I don't know, about $4 or $5 million this year through a vote at the what is it, the school, the people who make, I can't think of the words.
Board of Education?
Board of Education, yes. They made the budget, or you gave the taxes, but ultimately people say, oh, Cornell and taxes and the land tax and all these things. But ultimately, we were talking in Enfield, find out the details of this, my wife and I, when we were hearing about the revote for the budget. And they were saying that, I think it was like the state is, the big issue is not just Cornell and the land, but the state isn't classifying us. They classify us as very well off because of Cornell, and they're grouping us in including Cornell in the per capita in terms of our income, where other counties are not including that amount of very wealthy group that goes with people in Fall Creek and what have you that are seeking to, or Enfield, that are seeking to pay their taxes for school budget. And then, like in Schuyler County or Tioga County, there's much larger funding from the state because their per capita is less in terms of how much each person supposedly earns per year. So if that number could be adjusted properly to speak for the residents who are paying the taxes versus including Cornell that doesn't pay a tax, or land tax, or what have you, might get a better skew as for the state to fund, do a better funding for school budget. Thank you for your time.
Next up, Rayschlauer.
Hi. So, is this where I should sit? Fair enough.
Yep, thank you.
All right. I'm Rayschlauer, and Kathy and I have lived in the city of Ithaca for more than 50 years. We love this place, but that's not why I'm here. I want to talk a little bit about a public-private partnership that actually works. And I want to thank you, because we have one that actually works. It's called Finger Lakes Reuse. And it's Finger Lakes Reuse and Tompkins County. And why does it work? And what has it produced? That's what I'd kind of like to give you a little bit of background on. So 17 years ago, Finger Lakes Reuse was conceived. It has grown from 7 employees to now 86 employees, 63 full-time employees, everyone being paid a living wage. More importantly, we have engaged in retraining programs, and of our workforce, a full 30% are folks who previously were unemployed, and in fact represent chronically unemployed workforce. How does this happen? It happens because we've put together a system whereby we take stuff, the stuff that every one of us throws away all the time, 200 carloads a day come to Finger Lakes Reuse. 600 customers a day come to Finger Lakes Reuse and buy that stuff. 3 million pounds of stuff is bought every year at our stores. We pay over $100,000 a year in sales tax. We employ the many people that I've described, and we keep this stuff out of the landfill. And it happens because we have a great partnership with a number of people, including Tompkins County. You folks have $190,000 in the budget to be allocated for this purpose, and we're asking you to continue that support. We are thanking you for that support, and we are reminding you that reuse, in Tompkins County at least, is not just about stuff. To be sure, it is about stuff, but it's also about people, it's about ideas, and it actually is about dollars and cents. And when I say cents, I say common sense. So thank you.
Next up, Vicki Taylor Brouse.
Hello, everybody. I'm Vicki Taylor Brouse. I'm a resident of South Danby, and I've been in Tompkins County for 24 years. I'm here to talk some trash. I'm a member of the new board of the Finger Lakes Reuse Centre. As you may or may not know, the Ontario County landfill is nearing its capacity, as are many others around the state and country, with the maximum capacity likely estimated to occur in the next decade. The next step after we max out our landfills without intervention is likely incineration, an environmental catastrophe. The transition from our current waste system to a new system will be costly. However, an alternative to this is that we see waste as an economic opportunity and be proactive in Tompkins County, making it a model for the future of waste reduction. Finger Lakes Reuse is working with the academics of what it might take to establish a new circular economic model of materials management. But what we need are real, practical partners to join us in Finger Lakes Reuse, and we'd like to request that Tompkins County commit to being our partner in this. What we have discovered in the history of the organization is the sheer volume of what can be reclaimed from our waste stream just by sorting and putting items that would otherwise be discarded back on shelves for resale. What we want to see is new manufacturing industries and incubation centers focused on reduction of waste, as well as repurposing and developing new products where waste becomes a valuable and tradable commodity. Imagine insulation made from denim jeans, pathways from recycled tires, building materials made from reclaimed woods or plastics. This is not the future. It is happening now, can generate good jobs, and it is the responsibility of all of us to act proactively in the process. Finger Lakes Reuse is seen as an industry leader and trailblazer in this forum, with 17 years of experience behind the organization. It has only been possible to reach this point because of the community that this organization exists in. If we can seize this momentum, we have an opportunity to build a model that can set the tone for how communities around the globe can redefine the way that we process waste. So who wants to join us in talking trash and developing a proactive plan for a sustainable waste reduction program in Tompkins County and coming up with contingent funding or new resources to do so? Thank you very much.
Next up, Gideon Stone.
Hello, everybody. So my name's Gideon Stone. I've been living here in Tompkins County for over 20 years now. I'm a local business owner and have been on the board of directors at Reuse for over 7 years at this point. I've been serving as president there for 3. And I just wanted to talk to everybody a little bit about our perspective and the understanding of the role that we have as an organization, both within this community and as an industry leader in what we're doing with this organization. It's something that we all take very seriously. I know it's something that over the history of the organization, we have at times kind of been perceived as not being organized and serious and professional about the way that we run the business, but I want to kind of reassure you all that we do take it very seriously. We understand our responsibility to the community, to the organization, and to the industry at large, and it's something that we're working very hard to produce and evolve in a very serious manner. We've pulled together an extremely professional and excellent board right now. We're going through a strategic planning process, which I know we have shared with a lot of you already, and we're hoping to continue to share with you in the coming months, in the coming year. One of the major goals of that strategic planning process is really charting a course and a path forward to be able to really solidify this organization as not only the critical entity that it is to Tompkins County and to Ithaca at large, but also to really kind of solidify it as the industry leader and as a replicable model that we can kind of use as a proof of concept for communities, not only regionally, but nationally and hopefully internationally as well. You know, we're doing really, really important work. You know, I think a lot of you do understand the implications of the way that we currently manage materials and waste, the impact it has on the economy, our tendency to just create stuff and throw it out when we're done with it. And we're setting an example with the way that we're running this organization and what we're doing and what we're tapping into in a way that the implications of what we're up to are going to be enormous. You know, I've been with this organization for a number of years now, and the amount of support and excitement and enthusiasm that I see with everybody that comes in contact with us and what we do, it's mind-blowing. And if we have the right support and we can get the right people together and actually get behind this in a way where this organization can grow effectively in the future, what we're going to be able to do with this, both locally and globally, is enormous. And we're looking forward to sharing that strategic planning process with you and working with you to be able to kind of help this organization stay here for the long term. And thank you very much for your time.
Christine Johnson.
My name is Christine Johnson. I am president of UAW Local 2300 in Ithaca. We are an amalgamated local. We bargain and enforce 7 contracts, including 2 at Tompkins County Public Library for the professional and the support staff. We represent around 1,500 members altogether. I am here tonight to urge the legislature to reinstate funding for the Tompkins County Public Library. TCPL has provided and continues to provide excellent, vital services to our community. Except for the first few weeks of lockdown, they were open to the public throughout the pandemic, deemed an essential service. Although the door count and circulation numbers are not where they were expected to be at this time, it is through no fault of the staff at TCPL. The staff are hard workers, eager to care for our community. Staff are now being threatened daily with layoffs due to the potential budget cuts, which harms their ability to provide the consistent services they have been known for and is causing unhealthy levels of concern and stress. It is understandable that the legislature may feel that withholding funding from TCPL will send a message to management that improvements need to be made. However, it is not management that will feel the effects of the deficit. It is the union staff and the public that will. If the legislature is concerned with library management, please consider using your position to contact the State Department of Education and Board of Regents to have them take a look at the situation. If you are concerned with library finances, please consider having the County Department of Finance audit the library. But please, do not punish the staff and the community they so diligently serve by not reinstating funding, as that will only lead to a further deterioration of library services. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Zach Wynn.
Good evening. I echo the request that you tap into the fund balance in a manner similar to what legislator Mezzi previously put forth in order to lower the tax burden on the citizens. I understand that sales tax receipts are down and a recession is approaching, if not here already. Despite this potential economic turmoil, tapping the fund balance would be a gesture to the taxpayers that you are making an effort to reduce the ever-increasing tax burden that is placed upon them. Additionally, I request that you reconsider the amount of funds being allocated to the District Attorney's Office for per diem payments to prosecutors and judges who are assigned to attend the CAP arraignments. From what I understand, the District Attorney believes these funds were acquired by a grant that he requested and received and should be spent in the manner he originally put forth to the legislature. The DA commented along the lines that choosing to only fund half of his request would be disrespectful to his staff. From what I have observed during the budget process, the DA seemed a bit disturbed by the outcome of your decision on this matter. I would like to thank Legislator Pillar and let you know I appreciated your effort to increase the funds for the DA's request back to its full amount, despite it not being successful. I ask you to reconsider increasing the funds allocated to the DA's per diem for cap arraignments back to the original amount requested by the district attorney. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak tonight? This is your last call. I want to thank all the members of the public that have come out to speak tonight about the budget. We have heard you, and we will continue to deliberate about the budget, probably voting on our budget on November 19th. And did I say the wrong date?
Yeah, next week, I thought.
Next week.
It'll still go to Budget, Capital, and Personnel on the 14th, and then to the legislature on the 19th.
First time?
Anything else? So I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed, and thank you for coming tonight. The meeting's over.